What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Showdown Breakdown, Where My Turds At special. We've got the Giants heading out to take on the Chiefs for all the monies. My name is Kevin Allen, a.k.a. The Geek, and I've got the man himself, Bobbywow, a.k.a. Bobby Millions, a.k.a. Bobby Ducats, a.k.a. Bobby two times $1 million winner. To break down the game with us. What's up, my man, Bobbywow?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm excited. It feels like we've gone a while without a fun game. I think this is going to be a fun one, so I can't wait to get into it.
I love this game. Lots of potential scorers, MVPs, potential candidates all over the place, captain candidates everywhere. Not as many turds, but we'll see. Maybe we'll find some turds with the Showdown Breakdown. Where my turds at? All right, here we go. So, as always, let's take a look at these two teams, figure out what we expect to go on. We've got, hang on, where's my live odds? You've got a 52-point total, Chiefs 10.5-point favorite. So, could there be a blowout? Maybe. But even if there is a blowout, Bobbywow, first of all, the Chiefs have not played that well this year. And so what do you think? You think the Giants can hang in this one?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I think, Josh mentioned in his notes, and he's right on. The Chiefs are going to want to come out and make a really big statement because they have been absolutely terrible. So it's really a matter of, do we think, like you said, the Giants' firepower can keep up? And we've seen Danny Dimes come through in situations like this before. So I tend to think they can a little bit.
Yeah, blowout or not, I don't really care. What I do think will happen, though, is I think there will be offense from the Giants in this game. So I don't really care if it's a blowout. I really don't. Like, the Giants will have offense. So let's start on the Kansas City side, and then we'll talk about the Giants. Understand this KC offense because, of course, the running back position, a little weird. Some of their wide receivers a little weird. So a lot of us thought KC would trade for a wide receiver, like a real WR2. But, I mean, the deadline's fast approaching. Let's see if they do it. But here we go. So KC side, at running back, we saw once again that Darrell Williams pretty much handled all of the carries last week. And when I say all of the carries, like Pat Mahomes was scrambling a bit, so these numbers are a little bit skewed. Actually, let me go. Hopefully they can see the screen here. But you'll see the numbers were a little bit skewed. But Darrell Williams, 64% of the snaps, but essentially 100% of the rushing plays, as few as there were. He did all of the running. And he kind of split receptions with Jerick McKinnon a little bit. I don't know what your thoughts are on Jerick McKinnon as a turd, but I think we'll get into that. He's one of those guys that you kind of might want to get a couple shares of just in case. At wide receiver, I think we've got the same phenomenon that we've seen for a long time. Demarcus Robinson's just a body out there. It's weird. He's out there for all the snaps, but they don't really throw to him very much. Definitely a turd. You've got Tyreek Hill, who's the primary guy, and then Hardman and Pringle. Pringle's really interesting here, and I'm going to be curious. Pringle seems to be a guy that's more suited for the WR2 role on this team than anyone else. He's at 50% snaps, kind of 10% targets for the season. He'll be an interesting turd who's won us some tournaments in the past, Bobbywow.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce continue to split the targets around 25% apiece. And, Blake Bell and Noah Gray, super turd tight ends that are, one could score a touchdown. How much exposure, when you make 150, how much exposure do you give a Noah Gray or a Blake Bell who could score a touchdown and be in the nuts?
I think two things to note there. One is to try and get some sort of leverage, which doesn't take a lot, right? Like you might only need 5% of one of those guys to get 2-3x on the field. So, I like trying to be at a minimum 4 to 5%. The other thing to keep in mind is you never want to roster two of these turds in the same lineup. So I'll try and go 4 to 5% on a couple of them, but also make sure there's not more than one of them in the lineup.
Yeah, there's a certain math that works, like depending on how turdly they are. There's like a certain math. Like if the rest of my approach is good, then all I need is about 4 to 5. I like having 6, 7, even 8% of some of these long shots.
Yep.
Because if they're there, you want to give them enough lineups that they happen to fall into that right one. So before we get to the Giants, actually, I got a really important question here. If you're walking up to a house and they got a bucket, take all you want, and it's just Tootsie Rolls, what do? Say, F it, take it all. Bro, come on. You walk. You never take a Tootsie Roll. You never, ever, ever take a Tootsie Roll. Never.
Yeah, and if it's Almond Joy, you light the thing on fire, especially no Almond Joys.
Is Almond Joy worse than a Tootsie Roll?
Believe it or not, I think it is.
How do we feel about Mars and Milky Way? Because I'm really down on those two as well.
You know what the sneaky candy is? The sneaky candy play is $100,000. Those are amazing.
I like $100,000.
We don't talk about those enough.
I also found a candy with a pretzel. It was like pretzel, Reese's Pieces with pretzel or some shit. I don't know what it was, but it was great. I don't know what the hell it was.
Take 5?
Right. What's that? Maybe Take 5. Yeah, Take 5s are pretty good. It's got pretzels in there. A little salty, chocolate salt. It's great. Saltiness. All right.
Anyway.
I'm not doing onslaughts this week because I think the Giants offense will be good. And let's talk about the Giants offense. So Daniel Jones, very, very hit or miss this season. You don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get pure trash, and sometimes you get like fantasy goodness, right? I think this is a goodness game for dimes. I really do. But you never know.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And one thing you always talk about with QBs is if there's rushing upside, I'm interested. And Daniel Jones clearly has some big time rushing upside, maybe even more so now that Barkley's out.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. So they're running the read option with Daniel Jones a lot, and that brings us into Devontae Booker a little bit. But they're running the read option, and when Daniel Jones is allowed to run the football, he does really well. So we want a lot of exposure to him. You can't have both quarterbacks. It's there's a lot of goodness. There's a lot of goodness, and I don't even want to hear some Tony inactive talk. Take that shit elsewhere. We're counting on Kadarius being in the game. So Devontae Booker, exclusive running back. They don't have anybody else, and I love it. He's the only guy. So we can expect him to get all of the rushes, any passing game. Or Devontae Booker is a very, very good play in this game. He's a full workhorse. I don't understand why people aren't more excited about Devontae Booker. Great play.
Yeah. No, he's good. I mean, I don't know. I think there's something to be said about Eli Penny, who's also lurking in that backfield. He got 9 carries last week, didn't do anything with them, but I don't know. There could be something there.
You think Eli Penny is former Jet?
That's a fair point.
Wasn't last week a blowout? Like, I'm just, why did Penny get the touches last week is the question. At 600, though, you know what? Man, he sucked. That whole Giants team sucked. Actually, no, it was a blowout win. So maybe he was in there because it was a blowout, Bobbywow.
Certainly could be, yeah. Yeah,
this could have been some blowout run. I think that's what it was. Is Booker a captain play? Yes, I think you could play him. I don't think he's my favorite captain play on this slate, but I mean he's playable at the captain spot, but more MVP maybe, but not my favorite. So let's get into the rest of it. So Booker, all the touches, right? Beyond that, we can't really use last week's snap percentages because they're and just the whole thing's fucked on the snap because there's so many injuries. But what I expect is Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, and Darius Hayward Slayton to be the top 3 guys. With Slayton being like the big play, deep threat guy, low volume. Toney being this guy is being schemed looks and he's super exciting and the big play. And then Sterling Shepard coming in as a potential target hog / high volume PPR wide receiver. Any sort of thoughts on that, Bobbywow?
I think you're right on. I mean, the one thing that you're going to have to weigh as you build lineups is all three of these guys are extremely injury prone. So I don't think we can necessarily plan on one going out, but it would not surprise me if at least one of these guys wasn't able to finish the game.
So who's the next man up? Is it Dante Pettis, who had a pretty good game last week?
Yeah, I think if Sterling Shepard goes out, it will be Pettis. I mean, it's tough to say. I think if all three of those guys do play, Shepard, Tony, and Slayton, that we should see one of these guys come out as inactive tonight. So that would help a lot. But I do think it would be Pettis.
Pettis seemed like the best of them last week. Although, John Ross steps in. He always gets hurt anyway. But John Ross stepped in and, he had a couple of receptions, last week and a couple targets since he's joined the team for whatever that's worth. All right, at tight end, it's pretty much Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph. And at this point, these two guys are getting closer to splitting snaps. I think Evan Ingram is a targets guy. And let's take a look at his production from last week. He doesn't do anything with the targets, but that's a dangerous way to think. It's really dangerous because eventually he is going to do something with the targets. But, 8 targets, 5. This guy has been targeted aplenty. I think some of those targets last week were because, Sterling Shepard was out. And so, they only have so many other possession guys. But I have to hand it to Evan Ingram. He hasn't made as many boneheaded drops as we're used to seeing from him in the past.
Yeah, I agree. He's just way too cheap. I mean, he's so inexpensive.
Yeah, and Rudolph, turd who could pop. Turd who can pop. Yeah. I think when you're talking about Ross, there's a very good chance he will not see the field, not even one snap. But, if you're talking about a 2% turd out of 150 lineups, then sure. I mean, you could throw anybody in there. People get hurt. Weird shit happens. But, Ross might get 2 targets and on 10 snaps. Maybe they go for the deep play to I don't think so. I wouldn't play him. I think that having Kadarius Toney healthy means Ross probably won't do much, but you never know. Reason to look at Evan Ingram. Those are good reasons, guys. We'll talk about captain plays here in a second. How many studs do we need in a lopsided game? Here we go. So, all right, let's move on and take a look at the cheat sheet. But before you do, guys, remember, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you want to see these videos, if you like these breakdowns. Not asking much to like and subscribe, or get subscribed to DFS Army. You see the little scroller at the bottom there? We've got a 10% off thing going for the start of the NBA season. Promo code YouTube. Get you 10% off. You want VIP right now. Is NFL, NBA, MLB is still going on. Hockey's going strong. We're even finishing up NASCAR season. There's golf. There's everything simultaneously. Even esports. League of Legends. We got the best League of Legends guy in the industry in DFS Army. Advantage is the GOAT. And our tools are better than the others. So the Dom Station for esports is ridiculous. If you're into that, it's awesome. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the cheat sheet, Bobbywow. And we've got DraftKings up on the board. And, of course, you have your usual suspects. Pat Mahomes, playable. I don't like playing the quarterback in these types of games. I don't know how you feel about that. Let's move us over here. How do you feel about the quarterback? There's so many studs available. Is it worth playing Mahomes at the captain?
It's really tough to fit him in price-wise. I mean, if you're really confident in a turd, I don't mind it. And Mahomes spreads the ball out so much that we've seen him, even as a DK captain, take it down. But I'm with you. I think there's too many things going against him for me to try and get a ton of exposure. Not to mention, he's going to be 24% owned as a captain on a slate where he is he prohibits a lot salary-wise. So, no, I'm with you. I'm not a huge fan of playing him, although he could get there for sure.
I'm a little surprised at the 24% ownership and Tyreek Hill 20%. Like basically half of the ownership is going to be tied into these two players.
Yeah.
We've seen Chiefs studs with no Mahomes win these showdowns before, even when Mahomes had a great game because the studs outscored him and there was no combination that included the trio. So we have absolutely seen that win. I feel like it's won more often than not, Bobbywow.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, yeah, you could definitely play a lineup with no Mahomes because when Mahomes puts up 27, but both Hill and Kelsey put up 29 and 33, you couldn't have made a combination that included all three. So that's how it's done. Now, Tyreek Hill, definitely a good play. He has 40-point upside every single game. He hasn't gotten there, though. He's only gotten there a couple times this year, Bobby. And I want to understand, like, sure, he's got that upside, but he also has multiple games. So it's 40, 5, 10, 50, 14, 22, 12. So this is a dud. This is a probably didn't pay off. Dud. Great. So out of 7 games so far this season, 2 great games, 4 complete duds, and 1 okay. So his hit ratio is like 30% of the time. But when it does go off, it
goes off.
If you didn't have him, you didn't cash. It's that simple, right? Is it leverage Yeah, of course it's leverage. Yeah.
And I think with Hill, it's been interesting because I've watched a lot of these games, the Chiefs games, and Mahomes has struggled, but Hill has had a ton of drops and actually multiple drops that have resulted in interceptions. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. Clearly, he's still got the upside, but something isn't right. He's dropping a ton of balls. It's weird.
He has not been his usual. Yeah, he's dropped, but that'll just like change on a dime.
Totally.
That stuff changed on a dime, and the targets have been there. It's shocking that on a 13 target game he didn't get there, or that on a 12 target game he didn't really get there. So a couple of these situations are really insane because the same 12 targets against the Eagles, 50, 13 against the Bills, 14. It's like 12 against Washington, didn't get there. So really interesting. But yeah, I mean, a really easy way to leverage the field here is if you just avoid these two, that's 50% of the field. And then, of course, Travis Kelce. But like, you're not going to want to avoid those two. In the end of the day, you want to play them. All right. So Travis Kelce, 10%. Also very, very playable at the MVP. You like him. Sure. Easy. I think Daniel Jones can be played naked because of the running.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Will I play Daniel Jones at captain? I'm just sharing with everybody that I normally don't play quarterbacks at captain on DraftKings. I just don't do it. Sometimes they win, but more often than not, they don't. And they're very highly owned compared to how often they win. So my overview has been I'm probably better off avoiding using them, and I'd rather use somebody who catches passes. Especially in a game like this where one player is likely to pop off that's cheaper than the other. So we're going to try to figure out who those players are. But yeah, Daniel Jones is playable there. Here we go. Bobby, who is your captain fade?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, again, this is just how I play. So it's a little intense. I'm not saying you should do this, but I see 45% ownership combined with Mahomes and Tyreek, and that just seems like the easiest spot to get leverage. So those would be my 2 fades as captains.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. So, I mean, just an ownership play, you just faded those 2. You really, and again, this is DraftKings. We'll talk FanDuel in a second, and we'll make a DraftKings lineup before we pop over to FanDuel. But yeah, of course, it makes sense. You could fade those 2. I'm a little surprised not to see Kadarius Toney on the list here. He's one of my favorite captains on this entire slate. Assuming he's healthy, he's a very exciting player. He's priced down a little bit, and he can pop off for 20, 30 points in the way that the Giants use him, especially in a game like this. So, if this was me, I would definitely have Kadarius Toney as part of my sheet as one of my favorite captains. Sterling Shepard, I think, okay, at 7K, it's fine, playable. I'm not in love with Devontae Booker as a captain, even though I think he's a very, very good overall play on the slate. I'm not sure I'm going to play him much at captain. He just doesn't have that kind of upside that I'm looking for out of a captain play. I just think somebody else is popping off more that's a pass catcher. So I'm trying to stick with wide receivers or pass catchers as my captains, as my captains. So my question for you, Bobby. So let's say we've been through it. We've got Tyreek Hill, very high owned, maybe fadeable because of the ownership. Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney, maybe Sterling Shepard. Anybody else who's a pass catcher stand out to you as playable at captain on draft? Like, can we mess with Pringle? Can we pop the Pringle?
Oh man, it's tough. I think Josh nailed it. He's got Evan Ingram there, and I know it's not a sexy play, but with all the studs that you have on this slate, I don't think he has to totally go insane for him to be the nuts captain. I think it's still super, super unlikely, but the amount that you could do with him at captain, the salary flexibility you have is crazy. And I know we'll look at that in a second, but
you know what else was we know what else was unlikely? Last night playing Cedric Wilson.
Yes.
As your captain, right? Like, I'm not playing that guy. Meanwhile, I'm not sure I don't think that wound up winning the tournament, but it damn well came close to winning the tournament. And $1 million for someone like that amount of money.
Crazy.
Yeah. Tattoo Freak is actually eating Pringles, so he likes that. Darrell Williams, I don't think is a captain. I think also I don't mind Darrell Williams, but he's not a really captain play for me. So let's run through some of the other positions. Tyreek Hill. So just in the turd zone in the flex. Yeah, here's Kadarius Toney. Questionable to play, but if he does, I love him. He's such a threat in the open field, and despite his size, he's good at getting up and grabbing the ball. Fringe captain play if he's active and you want the salary. So there we go. There's acknowledgement of Toney as a captain play. Right? Daniel Jones, very playable. Cedric was nuts captain until right until the end. It was very, very close. So imagine that. Like, no one played him, and all of a sudden, Cedric Wilson helps you win $250K. It's a lot of money. So it was that close, and no one played him. So that's what the Evan Ingram deal is. Turd zone here. Darius Slayton, deep play guy.
I like it. Yeah, I think he led the team in targets last week. Obviously, that was with Toney and Shepard out, but I still like him. I feel like every time the Giants play in one of these showdowns, we're like, gosh dang it, Darius Slayton again catches an 80-yard touchdown. Here we go.
He can do it. No one will have him as captain too. I don't mind even popping him in over there, and he'll definitely have some flex ownership. He's got that. If you don't have him and he pops off, he's gonna ruin your game. You don't have him, you're not gonna win. It's gonna be like that. So like if he pops off for even just one of those, you don't have him, you don't win. And actually his ownership is actually predicted a little bit higher at 18% than what I thought. I don't love the salary. I think he should be cheaper, but we don't get everything we want. I definitely think he's overpriced for the role, but like I said, what other choice do we have? You got to play some of it in case he gets that one reception. Oh my God, Josh Gordon. Rohit wants us to play Gordon. Where's Gordon on the fucking matchup sheet, bro? He doesn't even make the matchup sheet. Gordon.
I don't think he's had a catch since the first week he was back, and he had one catch.
I want to know how many snaps he's on the field for.
He hasn't exceeded 11 snaps this season. That's the most he's been on the field.
Yeah. 11 snaps. So am I a Josh Gordon guy? No. We could talk about that on another show. We'll talk about that on another show here. All right. So going through the turd zone here. Yeah, it's Byron Pringle. DFS Up North likes Kyle Rudolph a little bit, says, and Hunter mentioned here that, Kyle Rudolph is getting a lot of red zone action, even in games now with Evan Ingram. They're both playing. So I think Kyle Rudolph is one of those turds that I kind of like here. Maybe catch a touchdown. You got a 3-star on the sheet. TE is the way to attack the Chiefs defense because they're soft in the middle of the field. I really like Ingram for a few dollars more, but Rudolph plays just as much, could easily fall in the end zone. I think Kyle Rudolph is one of the better kind of cheap pay down plays here. 1,800 on DraftKings. That's a nice little price point, Bobbywow.
I agree. I mean, I wonder if there's a little bit of Homer in the play because he was with the Vikings for so long. But that said,
but that's not even
a good turd.
Yeah, that's not even wrong. That's like the player is a good player. Kyle Rudolph is a good player. He's a real NFL veteran, and he does get snaps. They don't throw to him a ton, but like he does get snaps. And he almost got a touchdown. I watched the game last week, and I thought he did get a touchdown, quite honestly, and I think they called it back or something. But yeah, Rudolph is fine. I mean, last week again they were really down on their wide receiver core, and it's possible now with all these guys back that Rudolph won't get as much of that attention. So don't go crazy on it. But it's interesting. I think the better play might be Evan Ingram, though, if we think that the Chiefs are really actually terrible against tight ends. That would be the way to go.
Ingram and I share a birthday, so there's a little birthday narrative there. I don't know. Just saying.
Something.
Just saying.
Something. All right. So other players that might have a little bit of turd interest: John Ross for one big play potentially. KC defense definitely playable. Definitely playable. This is the Giants. This is Daniel Jones, and there's one scenario that has the game kind of competitive, but the more likely scenario is the Chiefs put a beating on the Giants and dominate them defensively. That's very possible here. The Chiefs haven't done that not even once this whole season to anybody. But this is the Giants. They're very, very low on the totem pole. Demarcus Robinson, 77% of the snaps, $800. What something's got to give, but this is years and years and years of this guy being on the field and not doing anything. I mean, it's brutal.
He's so cheap, but his ownership 20%. That's higher than I'd like.
Let's just take a look. Well, I mean, it's higher because he's 900. And if you look at Demarcus Robinson, let me get off of he's 800. Why does it say 1,200? Trying to trick me? I'm in the flex. And it's showing me 1,200. It's showing me his captain price. I don't know if these stats are his captain stats for all I know they are. But I want to just show it to you, Bobbywow. So he's 800 in 2 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So in 2 of 7 games, he has popped off for a good enough for the nuts 10+ point score at 800.
That's actually more than I would have thought.
2 out of 7. So the ratio is about 30%. 1 out of every 3 times he will be in the nuts lineup for you at this salary level. Does that not make you? Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
the
it's
DS
intriguing
loves him.
for sure.
Why wouldn't the DS love him, Dylan Tucker? The guy 3 times, 30% of the time is the nuts play at this price so far this year. 30%.
So let me ask you this, Geek. If you're playing Robinson, or if you're playing one of those second-tier guys, Robinson, Hardman, and Pringle, are you making a rule so that only one of them can be in your lineups?
No. Not those 3, because I think that Robinson and Hardman can go off. I don't think you need that. If I was doing, I'd rather play that rule like we talked about those turdly tight ends, for example.
Yep.
Blake Bell, Noah Gray, these super garbage players. That I would definitely have that rule on. All right. And find like a Giants guy like Kyle Rudolph, John Ross, that level of turdliness. I'm like, all right, no more than one of these. There's a good chance that the optimizer, optimizer will want to toss 2 like borderline zeros because the high level players are projected so well. So the optimizer is gonna be like, I don't care if it's a fucking 1 because Pat Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill are in the lineup together, and their mean projection is so high that it doesn't matter. But we have to control that part and be like, all right, no. Don't give me Blake Bell and who's this other, and Noah Gray, and slap freaking Dolph and Gary Brightwell or whatever these Garbaggio players are. We don't want more than one, like Ross, McKinnon. I want those turds. I was gonna ask how to craft the rule. You want it? All right. So how do you craft the rule? Is you say you put no, you don't want to no. Here's a very important part of this rule. We don't want to force one turd. So wait, I have the Dom station open. Let me show you the rule. Okay, let me show you how to make this rule so you only get one. Use player combinations rule, and it's stacked between 0 and 1 of. Now name those turds. Right? Give me the garbage guys.
Noah Gray. Josh Gordon. Blake Bell. Yep, you got him.
Who else? There's some more of these pure Garbaggio guys like Pettis.
Dante Pettis, although he's expensive. My gosh.
We can't play him because of the price point. He's not gonna play. Pringle's
McKinnon.
Probably on that list. Like, you don't want more than one of the. I can't even think of other turds like Giants ones. Ross. I'm trying to see anybody with a projection. Like, yeah, McKinnon. Right? So notice what the rule is. Stack between 0 and 1 of all of these turds in all lineups, right? Now, understand what this is saying. This is not forcing one of them. I don't want a rule that says between 1 and 1. That will force one of these turds into. I don't want a turd in every lineup. What I'm saying is, if you're going to give me one of these turds, don't make it more than one of them, because the chances of 2 of them popping off in the same lineup are just nil, right? So I'm not going to put Robinson in this super turd category because he's hitting 30% of the time. Literally 30% of the time. I can actually say he hits in the nuts more than Tyreek Hill. Because Tyreek Hill was only in the nuts like 25%. Like, it's actually been exactly the same. But because Tyreek Hill has 2 nuts performances this year at his salary, and Robinson has 2 nuts performances this year at his salary.
Yeah.
So, like, technically, we should have the same amount of exposure to Tyreek Hill that we do to Demarcus Robinson. How crazy is this? Is this real? Do we have enough sample size, Bobbywow, to make a conclusion on this thing?
I don't know. Probably not. I think Tyreek Hill.
I feel like,
if you look back to last year, it's been a struggle this year for the Chiefs. So I think he's due some positive regression.
Yeah. I think it's coming on the good side. It's the Giants. But yeah, I mean, you get the idea here. I do like Pringle as a pretty good turd. I maybe have to remove Pringle from this list because I kind of like Pringle as a standalone play. So we'll put him out of there, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, no Pringle in there. There's other turds in this game. My screen is blurry. Are you guys seeing blurriness? Looks perfect for my shit. Anyway, yeah, Noah Gray, Josh Gordon, Eli Penny should be on that list. No, Hardman's not a super turd, but Eli Penny, yeah, he's definitely a turd. Yeah, Hardman's definitely not. I'm just kind of looking at the turd zone. Yeah, Eli Penny should be in that mix. Let's put him in there because I will actually use this later. I'm like, this is going to be a rule that I actually have. I'm going to actually use this. So, all right, let's make a DraftKings lineup, guys, real quick. Always like to make a lineup before we move on to FanDuel. And Bobbywow, captain. I don't want to do the most expensive, obvious. So give me a pay down captain. Let's get started.
Oh, man. Yeah, throw Tony in there because you like him a lot.
I do like Tony. I like Tony. I like the price, and I like what I can do with the lineup. So this isn't going to be a cash lineup. I think if I was doing a cash game, I would do something different, like probably Shepard. Because Shepard's likely to get a ton of targets in this game. So let's go to Shepard here. I think you want to play him as well. And 8,200 remaining. Favorite turd?
Robinson probably, right?
Yeah, 1 out of 3 times this guy's going to lead you to a tournament takedown.
think you got to have Danny in there.
Trying to pay a lot of money. I mean, let's see here. I think Danny, I'm down with, except look what's going to happen here. Okay. So I think we got to choose one of the trio. It's all we can afford. Or we could do Hill and Kelsey. Or we could do Mahomes and Kelsey. Or can't do Mahomes and Hill. Nope, can't do Mahomes and Kelsey either.
I don't hate Kelsey and Hill. I really don't.
Kelsey Hill? No Mahomes?
It's GPP, but yeah, I don't hate it.
I don't really hate it either. Kind of like it. Entered it. Suck it. Can take down the Millie. All right. Let's talk about FanDuel. I don't know if I would use that as a cash game. By the way, you know what? Let's do. All right. If I was doing a cash game lineup, people love a cash lineup. I'm not giving this out, guys. Don't use this. But you know what? Let's leave the last spot blank because motherfucker try to use our shit. Right? And you can't be giving out lineups. Cash game lineups.
Oh my gosh.
Can't give out cash game lineups. I'm on DraftKings. But if I was doing a cash game lineup, I want the running backs in there. I want at least Booker in there. I want the quarterbacks in there. I think I'd still use Robinson. I think Robinson is it. I hate Robinson, but I think he might be the best turd.
I think Evan Ingram should be a cash staple.
He's playable.
He's cheap, getting a bunch of targets.
All right, we put Evan Ingram in there. You know who else you got to play in cash? Booker, maybe.
So then, where do you go? Hill, Kelsey.
I'm trying to figure out if I put. There's almost no.
I don't mind Kelsey a captain. I mean, it's expensive, but
now I can't afford my two quarterbacks. I need to get Mahomes in a cash lineup. It's not that easy to make cash lineups for these games, for the Chiefs games, because there's too many studs. Lisa likes Pringle. I'm okay with it, but not in cash. I feel like where's Pringle's salary?
He's cheap.
Yeah, he's probably a better play than. Yeah, hold on. You know how you make it work? Something like that. I'd rather have Mahomes as my captain in cash games, and then how about that? Catch me outside.
There we go. So, I don't love Robinson and Pringle though in the cash.
No. I think one though might get you there, and on a cash game maybe that's enough. I don't know. Anyway, that was just a sample. Don't use that.
Interesting.
Don't use that. Why is Henny at 10K? They put all the quarterbacks at 10K on FanDuel. All the backup quarterbacks, guys, because that one dude keeps winning $500,000 prizes playing backup quarterbacks. They had to deal with it. That's why yesterday we had to pay up for Cooper Rush 10K. Who does
and because they forgot to do it. Case Keenum was 5K last week, and it destroyed the slate. It ruined it. So
yeah, and Keeve is correct. We have the research on this, guys. It's unless you have a running quarterback in there, it's almost always the pass catcher that's the nuts on DraftKings. So but people play here's the issue. I think our research showed that it was like 17% of the time a quarterback was the nuts captain, but people play the quarterbacks as captain 30+% of the time. And then if you looked at the 17%, and I don't know if these are the exact, I have not re-looked at the numbers recently, but even when you look at the 17%, it's such a high number of them that wind up being Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson types that run for touchdowns, that it's actually lower than that when you're dealing with traditional pocket quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is not that. He's a running quarterback. He kind of counts as you can play him at MVP. But Mahomes isn't a running quarterback. Mahomes will run when he needs to, but he throws for tutties. So that doesn't really count. It's been rare that Mahomes has been the nuts captain. Yes. Is Ross the MVP? It's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't think I would even play that.
No Ross. Come on, man.
Man, people love Ross in here.
Dude, Ross isn't going to play. What the hell do they call you, bro? What do they call him? Anyway,
you call him the right name, but now I'm second guessing what you actually called him. I can't remember.
Keith, but because his name says Keith, I don't know. That's what it's spelled. All right. I met a guy once. You want to hear this? He's named Kevin, like me. Secret alert. My name's Kevin, right? And I met this guy, and he's like Kevin with an E. And my name's Kevin, bro. He goes, well, I'm Kevin with an E. And I thought he was like trolling me. I'm like, is this a troll? Like, what the fuck is Kevin with an E mean? What is that? What are you saying? Is he trolling me? Of course, Kevin spells it's Kevin. Like, there's an E in it. And he's like, no, it's Keven. To which I was like, what are your parents like refugees? What, do they not know how to spell the name? No one spells that name with an E. I'm like, are you from like some foreign place? What the fuck is that name? You ever heard of Kevin with an E? It's my fucking name. You can't surprise me. What the hell was that? That's a real story. That happened. Kevin with an E. I was like, what the fuck? He knows what's up. Kevin, have you ever heard of a Kevin with an E, bro? I was like, yeah, it's got an E in it. What are you talking about? He's like, no, Keven. What the fuck is that name? I don't get it. And that was like a grown ass man, older than me. It wasn't like I get today, like, my son's name is Jordan with a Y. Like, all right, I get it. But like, some 60-year-old dude with a funky ass name. I don't know what the fuck that was about. All right. Captains, MVP on FanDuel, guys. Everything we just said about DraftKings, the opposite works on FanDuel. We want running backs, we want quarterbacks up there. It's harder for the wide receivers to get there. Although yesterday we almost had a wide receiver, but it was not to be. Yesterday it was Cooper Rush, I think, who was the Nuts captain, who was Nuts MVP on FanDuel. I think, was he? Yes.
I don't know. Was he?
It was Cooper Rush. It was a Cooper Rush +2. I was pissed at myself. I played a lot of Cooper Rush, and I couldn't understand why I didn't win the fucking 100K. I'm like, why didn't I win? And it's because I did Cooper Rush with one of, and it was a Cooper Rush +2. So here's an interesting rule, guys, that I learned last night in watching the results of the Showdown. You ready for this? FanDuel, I'm going to give you some fucking knowledge. Okay? Interesting rule. So last night I played Cooper Rush, and he's not a running quarterback. So he wound up being the Nuts captain. It was Rush, Cooper, Wilson. And then in the flex, a very simple Cousins Thielen combo. That was the Nuts. And you're like, why didn't I play that? Well, because the rule wasn't in place. So I had a rule of Rush +1. And then I didn't make a rule of if your quarterback is in the flex, playing with one pass catcher. So what I learned yesterday is a really interesting rule is, and again, this is for that was last night. That was Amari was captain, but I'm talking about on FanDuel now, where it was Cooper Rush. And this is what I'm saying. FanDuel favors quarterbacks and running backs significantly over wide receivers. As you can see, last night, Amari Cooper, captain DraftKings, but it was Cooper Rush, captain FanDuel, MVP. So this was the rule, right? So I said to myself, and it doesn't work as well with Mahomes because he spreads the football around like such a maniac. But I think you kind of do have to have the rule. So it was if your quarterback is captain, no less than 2 of, and then you got to name the players. Help me out. Live show. Robinson. Who are the people that catch passes, right?
Pringle.
Yeah, do me a favor, man. I can't fucking do this live. Pringle. Robinson.
Hardman.
Yeah, Hardman. Now, I like this less with Mahomes. Just keeping it real. Even McKinnon.
Oh,
even Darrell Williams, I'm going to include.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know what? He throws to Darrell Williams. Even Blake Bell and these turds. That other fucking turd. Brown.
Gray. Noah Gray.
So we make a rule. Mahomes +2. And then here's the other rule. If he's in the flex, Mahomes +1. Now we do the opposite. Jones. Now, again, I don't know how well this is going to work on a night where Jones is a running quarterback. It's less good. Normally, if I have a running quarterback, I do 1, but
yeah, I wouldn't go 2 with him, but I
yeah,
see why
I don't.
you're showing it.
It's really hard to find 2 that you like. I'd probably do just 1, but I might do a 2 version for my like dollar game just to see, and then play like on the 9 or the 5. I'll do just the 1. You know what I mean? I like to contrast it, but no less than 1. So Jones with no less than 1 of Evan Ingram. Make our rule. We've got Evan Ingram. We've got Tony. Tony has done it. You know, I'm playing. It feels good if Tony scores. Just know that. Tony. DFS Army Discord. Be on the lookout for that. I'll be waiting. I'm going to have it queued up. Fucking feels good. Feels good. That one. Because it does feel good when you have a lot of Kadarius Toney and he scores. Who else is on the Giants? Sterling. All the names. Evan Ingram, Kadarius Toney, Stoney Shepard, Darius Hayward Slayton. Got everybody's favorite, John Ross. Don't know why anybody likes him, but they do. Dante Pettis. Okay, fine. Rudolph. Am I forgetting anyone, Bobby?
That looks good to me.
Okay. Do that for captain and for the flex, right? So this is going to create a really interesting combination of lineups. So if you're looking for the rules, those are the rules potentially to use. And we can have a discussion about both Mahomes and Jones if they should ever be with 2 of, but I'm not sure. These are both quarterbacks that are unique, but I will say, if you're playing with Kirk Cousins, if you're playing with a traditional pocket passer, if it's Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford or those types of players, this double up QB +2 as captain, QB +1 in the flex approach, you know, it's not always going to work 100% of the time, but it will lead to some takedowns. Yes, FanDuel, you're definitely better off playing QB or RB at captain. It has been proven. Our data reflects it. So just be aware. Now, with that, it's just they score better. So with that being said, let's see how long we're into this bad boy. Pat Mahomes, top overall play.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. Mahomes, the easy best play. If you're making a cash lineup, just start with Mahomes. Very simple. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, either one could get there. My question for you, Bobbywow, is can Tyreek Hill get there in a lineup that also includes Travis Kelce?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, unless they're not throwing to them in the end zone, it'd be really tough.
Or unless it doesn't include Mahomes because you couldn't afford him. So I guess my real question is, can Kelce or Hill be the top MVP in a lineup that also includes Mahomes, who you would think if both Kelce and Hill did enough, it's actually Mahomes who would be the top scorer, and that it includes Mahomes, but also includes the other player. In other words, can we make this rule confidently? If Hill is captain, no more than one of Mahomes and Kelce.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing Hill and Kelce. Hill is the nuts cap MVP, Kelce is a flex, and not Mahomes. I get the pricing thing, but it feels icky on FanDuel.
Can I make them the same rule? Now, a more aggressive rule might be just forcing them with Mahomes, right? But I think this rule has a little more possibility. So I don't know which way you want to go with that.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable with what you just said for sure. But I think you could go either way as well.
Isn't it interesting though? Like, I'm just trying to do the math. Is there a scenario where it's Kelce and Hill and Mahomes all in the same lineup? Because you would think if Kelce and Hill are doing it, Mahomes is the nuts.
Well, yeah, I'm curious when we start to build what that looks like, if we could even fit those 3.
We'll talk about that. So, of course, those 2 guys. Now, Beyond them, Daniel Jones. Oh, so we got no running backs in this one. Do we think so? Daniel Jones is very obvious. Do we think that, and look at his price, it's very expensive. Do we think that Devontae Booker deserves consideration as a captain?
I do think so. I think, both of these teams have struggled early on to produce offense. So if we do get in one of those grinding games, it's certainly possible that a guy like Booker, I would even throw Darrell Williams into that category because of what he did 2 weeks ago. I think in a grinding game, although Vegas doesn't think it's going to be, they could certainly be the highest scorer on the slate.
Darrell Williams has gotten there, the 2 touchdown game a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I mean, and it could be another Darrell Williams pop-off game. He's definitely somebody I want exposure to. Steve Lynn is saying, it's different on FanDuel. On DraftKings is different, Steve, because on DraftKings, legitimately, Tyreek Hill could massively outscore Mahomes, but Mahomes and Kelsey could be in the nuts lineup. Just because the way DraftKings scoring works, it's just different. And it allows for a wide receiver to really excel way beyond a quarterback can. But FanDuel doesn't have that ability. On FanDuel, it's really hard for a wide receiver, period, to outscore their quarterback. And for 2 pass catchers on the same team to outscore, no. It's not, yeah, and again, it's not about that you can't fit those 3 in a lineup. For me, it's about if it's the trio, then it would have had to have been Mahomes, who was the highest scoring player, because of the way that FanDuel math works. It doesn't work with the other thing. So, like, more often than not, if you have Hill or Kelsey, the easy rule is to force Mahomes. But what I'm adding on is don't allow for both Hill and Kelsey in the lineup where Mahomes isn't the captain or the MVP, because it's not going to work mathematically.
I agree 100%. I mean, and back to the running back thing, there is too little ownership on the running backs. I understand it's unlikely that one of these guys is going to outscore Mahomes, but the fact that Booker, who, like you said, is going to get 90% of the carries, is 2% on FanDuel, that's really, really low. So I would definitely, that's a spot where I would get some leverage.
Get a little leverage there on Booker. And by the way, the flex ownership is pretty low on Booker too.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's pretty low. So let's see. Let's just get a quick look at these ownerships here.
Okay.
I'm really curious about like who's going to be owned where. So Jones 13% MVP. Yeah, I mean last night I actually, like I said, I was excited to play last night because I was so excited that no one was going to play Cooper Rush, and I played a lot of him at MVP, and I just didn't make the fucking rule, which cost me not to win, and I'm still mad about it. But makes me mad. But when we take a look at some of the rest of these ownerships, let's take a look. So Mahomes, 35% MVP, correct. 50% flex, absolutely. Mahomes is the best MVP play on the slate. Then it looks pretty level between Jones, Tyreek Hill, and then a little drop off to Travis Kelce. Interestingly, yeah, Darrell Williams pop in here at 8%. I don't know if I think I'd want to go under on Darrell Williams a little bit. At 8%,
yeah, I'm not as excited about that.
You know what I mean? Like Booker is nothing and Williams is so high. Look at the game total, the team total difference here. It's really big. I don't want those guys. So I definitely like these guys in the flex though. Booker, Williams, Sterling. Where's Kadarius Toney? Yeah, 30% flex.
Right.
Yeah, it's about right. 8,500. He's the best play on the slate, I think. I think Kadarius Toney's the best play on the slate.
You are so high on Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
Well, I love him too, but when he popped off, it was without Shepard and without Slayton healthy.
It doesn't matter. They're scheming plays to him. The only concern I have with Kadarius Toney is the ankle actually healthy? I don't know. And that's the concern. That's why I'm not going to go crazy on it. Oh, yeah, you could totally. I mean, everybody's talking about it's very easy to make this lineup. Like, I wouldn't do this. Actually, I'm okay with it. You just make these two, and then, you could go hard man, but you could put Toney in there and Evan Ingram, and you're good. Like, this is a pretty comfortable lineup to make. I don't know that that's the best lineup. Yeah, Kadarius Toney is very electric. The reason I like Toney is because they scheme plays for him. So he's not in there like needing to run routes and get open. He's out there and they have like 8 or 9 plays during the game that they're going to throw to him because they've already designed it beforehand. Yeah, and Shepard, the hammy can go at any moment. Or, yeah, he punched someone in the face in that one game, which means he's a moron.
Jeez.
There's that. I'm a fucking rookie punching people in the face. Like, what are you, an asshole? Be here for 5 minutes before you're punching people. Okay? Be in the NFL for more than 2 minutes before you start punching people. All right, buddy? But yeah, I mean, you can see a really easy approach here. I don't know. Bobbywow, if you're making a cash lineup, I kind of feel like you got to get him in there. And then you have no money left.
Yeah. I mean, is Danny Dimes going to outscore Ingram and Tony?
I mean, you're playing Tony anyway because he's 8,500. And, you know, or either him or Gano, like a kicker. And it's hard. It's always hard to play.
Yeah, I like, so put Danny Dimes in there. And what do you have left?
I think you got to take Kelsey out to play Dimes. And then you've got Tony in there. Then you got 9,750. You want to put the running back in. I don't know. This is a really tough one. I don't think I like this at all.
Yeah, I think if it's me, I'm going Kelsey. What do you get if you get Kelsey in there? Kelsey and Danny.
You're saving a lot of money. So you can do you still can't even fit Danny in there. Not with this combo. So then you have to drop
to 6K.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure there's a turd worthy player down. Yeah, I mean Demarcus Robinson. By the way, we talk about Demarcus Robinson once every. Actually, he got you there here on FanDuel as well. It's basically, look, it's exactly the same stats: 3 receptions, 46 yards, touchdown. He does it twice. He does it 2 out of 7.
Ugh, so gross.
1 out of 3.5. Dude, that's a good ratio.
It is. Just thinking about playing him in cash is disturbing. But he makes it work.
I don't know what else to do here. Maybe we don't play cash. You don't just have to play a fucking cash lineup. Just play a bunch of tournament lineups. By the way, let me just, because we talk about this, let's talk about just real quick some strategy here down at the bottom. But again, it doesn't change. You want to mix these type of turds like a Dolph at 5K. Look what he does for your lineup. You got to get some exposure to a 5K turd, because when the cheapest turd is in your lineup, they might get a 0 and you still do okay. Like there is a scenario where Dolph gets a 0 and your lineup isn't dead. If he scores a touchdown, it's almost always the nuts. So Rudolph at 5K, look what you can now do. You want to talk about cash? Now I can put, well, I don't want to get rid of Tony. I like him in there. But I mean, just right here. Daniel Jones. I can actually play my choice of Tyreek Hill or Daniel Jones. Yeah. You could do whatever you want.
Yep.
So, fuck, I love this lineup, dude. Guess what? Entered it. Motherfuckers. It's in. Love that lineup.
Solid.
Yeah, and let's say you didn't like Kadarius Toney. All right, so I can put a kicker in. I can get Darius Hayward's like. So like I like that one too. I liked it. I played it. So yeah, Eli Penny is a really big turd. You know, yeah, you could play him. I mean, he's on the list. He's on that turd list. You know what I think about Eli Penny though? You know what I think about Eli Penny? Bobbywow knows.
Man, it's so beautiful every time.
It's always good. It's always good. That's what I think of Eli Penny. I think he was only in the game because it was a blowout. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot out of Elijah Penny. But you know what? Booker gets hurt. Penny fucking for the nuts.
Yep.
If Booker gets hurt, he's the backup. Who's the backup?
He's cheap enough.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, Darrell Williams or Damian Williams or whoever the fuck it is, that guy gets hurt. You know, I'm not a big fan of Rashad Penny either, by the way. The Penny brothers might be good college players, but they haven't shown it in the pros yet.
Poor Rashad. What a wasted talent.
Yeah,
The
and
Seahawks are letting him rot. I know he gets hurt.
at some point they got to play him because I'm telling you, Chris Carson is never coming back. He's done.
I love Penny.
He's done.
Rashad.
You like Rashad?
I do.
Well, let him run him a little bit. Let's see what happens. Mecole Hardman, he's another one of these guys. Like, he's getting you 10s, 12s. He will have a big game eventually, and don't stop playing him. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. It's going to happen. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it, guys. Where my turds at? Giants, Chiefs for all the monies tonight. Bobbywow, favorite turd on the slate?
Oh man. I think you've talked me in to Kyle Rudolph. Maybe I like
Dolph.
Rudolph. I like Robinson.
I like Dolph on FanDuel at that price.
Agreed.
Demarcus Robinson on DraftKings. No,
Could be.
No, you're not feeling it. Who's your favorite on DraftKings?
Oh my goodness. It's so tough. I mean, I don't think Demarcus Robinson's a turd, but he's priced like a turd. So it's tough to go away from him. Yeah, I like Robinson. McKinnon could get there too. I hate that his ownership is 23%, but McKinnon is way too cheap, even for his small role.
He catches 2 or 3 targets per game. What's his price? I don't think it's a good FanDuel
$1K.
play.
I think on FanDuel. It's $1K on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad price for a guy who's going to catch a couple. He'll be targeted a couple times. So 4 targets. You know, that's about what he's done, and it usually only leads to 3 fantasy points. But yeah, it's cheap. So Jermaine is saying 5-1. I don't think you do that here. I don't think you onslaught it. I mean, people are going to do that. That's fine. If you think that the Chiefs will completely dominate this game and destroy the Giants, do the onslaught. But if the Giants put up any resistance, their players are so cheap that you're going to need them. It's really hard to assume that the Giants will not complete a bunch of passes to any of their guys. DeMarcus greater than Dolph. So guys, I mean, pop your turds in the chat. Of course, we'd love to see them.
I think the one thing to note as you guys are doing the showdown stuff, number one, anything can happen. Anything can happen on a showdown. So if you think of a possibility, it can probably happen. But my recommendation would be think about what your narrative is and then build your lineups around that narrative.
I have another question for you. This is personal. Bro, it's fucking November 1st, okay? It's not even Thanksgiving yet. What the hell's going on back there?
November, it is the season, Geek.
No.
Come on.
I thought it's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, you get a full month. You're extending to 2 months. That's cheating.
Because you don't want to put all the stuff up and only enjoy it for a month. That's not worth it. Let me enjoy it for 2 months, man.
You are the best. Literally the best. And I love it. I fucking love it. I love it. You're the best. Just the fact that you want to extend the Christmas season for 2 months is so awesome. I can only imagine how amazing like Christmas is in the Clinks household.
Oh, it's
your
a joy,
kids
man.
Probably got a fucking pile of gifts under the tree. They're all wrapped beautifully.
No, that's not true.
They show up in their pajamas. They got those little sock thingies too. Like, no, start with the sock. Get like little items out of the sock, and it's like it's like a commercial. It's like a movie, but it's happening in real life. They run down with their onesie pajamas and their Christmas pajamas, and it's like a onesie, you know, with feet and everything.
No, it's the opposite. We have to compensate with good decorations and lights because it's the opposite of that. So
I don't believe you. I don't believe you for a second. I don't believe one word of what you're saying. All right. That'll do it, guys. Where my turds at? Don't forget to like, subscribe, sign up for DFS Army. It's time. Promo code YouTube. You got Bobbywow there. Bobby, people taking down tournament. You know, in the earlier show, I showed all the wins from this weekend. 150K, 50K, 100K, 50K. I can't even take it anymore.
Every day.
Fucking JJ Watts up accidentally puts a lineup in during the Players Club pod, forgets about it.
So crazy.
First place everywhere and put it in more than once. In like, ever get pissed off when you're in second and the first place guy entered the same lineup twice? And you're like, God,
oh my gosh.
I took all the money. I only got third place. Like there's a train coming to get you, and it's one guy, and he's got this happened to me the other day in NBA. Yeah, my house is more like Christmas Vacation. My house is like yeah, it's more like that. Like there's mishaps all over the place. You ever have like there's like a train. This happened to me in basketball. I'm in second place, and there's like one asshole who put 4 lineups in that were the same, and he's like galloping to. And I'm like, motherfucker, this prick is gonna pass me, and I'm not gonna knock down from second to third. I'm going from second to 8th. Oh,
which
I'm
is
going to
like,
go down from 20K.
It's a tenth of the winnings, right?
Wait, I'm going down from 20K to $200. You son of a bitch! You son of put in one lineup.
Oh,
God damn it! That was JJ WhatsApp's 4 lineups that took first place. Oh, like the first place guy's like, oh, here comes this fucker, and he's going to take me out of first place, and I'm going to 4th.
At some point, you gotta tip the cap.
10,350. 10,350.
That's brutal, man.
Yeah, one guy had top 3. I think this was the same guy. That happened to me the other day. Yeah.
That's funny though. Oh man.
Home Alone 3.0, the Geek residence. Forgot my kid. Actually, my family sometimes leaves. They forget me. I'm home alone.
We need an NFT of that. Somebody build an NFT of that geek face right there.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Good luck tonight, everyone. Where my turds at? Let's crush it.